Hello, hello.
Hello, everyone. I think we are live. Welcome back and welcome to any of you that are joining us for the first time. We're Lucy and Amanda, and today we're going to be talking about all things motivation and specifically intrinsic motivation. So why is
I
this
feel so
important?
intrinsically motivated today. Do you?
I feel absolutely I'm so, yeah, absolutely. So why is this important? This is important because we want our children to be motivated from the inside, to do a certain behavior or to make a healthy choice because they want to, rather than us trying to make them want to. So, Lucy, do you want to talk about the two types of motivation?
Yes, definitely. So let's just put up the slides for a second. Because people, we have it all prepared. Just trying to see. There you go. So we are talking today about positive discipline and the self-determination theory. So there are basically two types of motivation, as you can see. So the first one is intrinsic motivation, and the second one is extrinsic motivation. I'm going to start talking to you about the extrinsic motivation because I think this is the one that is most commonly seen out there. So it's where we do behaviors or make decisions to receive some form of either external validation, or we do it to avoid punishment. Okay. And we also have the intrinsic motivation, which is we behave and we make choices according to our inner compass and for a sense of meaning and enjoyment. So, it's like this is where we want to get. This is what we want to have for the long term. And obviously, there's myths out there. And one of them, I think the main one, is that it says that rewards motivates good behavior. And I'm sure that you heard that before. Maybe you are one of the people who believes that this is true, right? And we are here to debunk this myth. Okay, especially because we know that so many school systems they work in this way. So it's always, sometimes it's about sticker charts or behavior charts, or sometimes I've seen schools giving away Amazon vouchers if children
Really
behave
interesting.
well and do all the homework. And it's actually here in the UK, Amanda. Believe it or not.
Tell me more. Tell me more.
Yes,
So, I guess this is actually a really easy trap to fall into, isn't it? That we believe that rewarding kids will encourage them to do more of the behavior that we want them to do. So what does this do? In the short term, it's actually can be quite sort of seductive in a way, because you will at times get that kind of short-term compliance or obedience. But actually research shows, and there's been a lot of research done, especially by a guy called Alfie Cohen, who's written a book called Punished by Rewards, which if you haven't read is a really, really, we highly recommend it.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
he basically looks at the long-term issues with rewarding kids, especially when it gets into when they get into the teen years. So that's something that, yeah, if you want to look into that more, it's a really, really good book.
Yeah. So basically, what happens is children who were, there you go. So basically, we are trying to give these children a message, right, about the rewards. So that research from Alfie Cohen shows that kids who were raised on rewards became more self-centered and materialistic and more influenced by external forces such as peers, money, praise, and recognition. Now, we all are well aware of the dangers that these external forces can bring to your life. So that's why we're here to try and show you how we can work towards bringing more intrinsic motivation than extrinsic. Because basically the message that we are giving, that by giving rewards to children, the messages is that, well, basically we have no confidence in them. They are, we're taking on a challenge unless they only if it pays off. Only if it pays off. So we know that children, they won't do it just for the sake of doing it. They'll do it because, there will be a reward at the end. So it's always like that what's in me attitude. And obviously, like rewards, they will lose their appeal over time. Okay. So obviously, like if you, let's say you pay a child $1 today or give them like one golden sticker today, in the long run, that will be worthless, right? So things will grow and it will come to a stage when it won't be feasible anymore, and it will be very hard for you to sustain it. And then like, so more worrying is that the research shows that a reward actually erodes a child interest in the behavior that we are trying to motivate. So I think that's the problem. It's like, it's not that the child just loses interest. They actually feel like doing less and less of what we believe would be important for them. So the question is like, I don't know if you guys were in our workshop, we did the two lists. The first list being the challenges, the second one being the life skills and characteristics. So obviously, like the life skills and characteristics, that's our North Star. So if you think about all of those life skills and characteristics that you want your child to have when they grow up, the question is, do you really think that these children are learning any of those through being rewarded by their behavior or their actions?
Good question. So this is a brilliant study by two psychologists from Stanford called Lepper and Green. And they chose a group of preschoolers, and they divided the group into two. And these preschoolers loved to draw. Now, one group was given a reward for the drawing, and the other group wasn't. And what they discovered was the group that were given the reward, their spontaneous drawings dropped by 50%, which is huge. And not only that, but the aesthetic quality of the drawings themselves actually diminished. So they actually got worse. So basically, the rewards turned something that they used to love doing into something they had to do to get something else.
That's
interesting,
it.
right?
So it is, definitely. So the thing is, when we are talking about rewards and intrinsic motivation, I think it is so huge, especially when it comes to creative tasks, problem solving, right? Things that really require a lot more brain power than just doing like mechanical activities. So, well, like the question is, we all know about the carrot and stick approach, right? We were probably all kind of like raised under this approach, like it's either rewards or punishments. However, it's been 45 years since two psychology professors, one of them called Edward Deci and the other one called Richard Ryan, they came up with the self-determination theory. Okay, so this is a study that actually started back in the 1940s, okay, by someone else, by another professor. And basically they were arguing like what humans are mostly motivated by. So it's not by the material consequences of our actions, or, like just so we can try and avoid punishments. Okay, so the thing that drove people the most was meaning and enjoyment. I think this is just so important. And this is how they came up with intrinsic motivation. So this is what we're going to talk about today. Now,
yeah,
Amanda?
This is such an exciting body of research. So basically, what are these three fundamental needs that allow humans to not only flourish, but also to have, a really positive sense of mental well-being? We talk about mental health usually in a kind of negative context, but what about actually what we can do to have positive mental health? So these three needs are autonomy, which is basically a need to feel in control of our actions and decisions; competence, which is a need to feel capable and effective in our environments; and relatedness. Now, this is obviously all about belonging, feeling connection to others, a feeling that I matter and I can contribute. And for those of you that obviously have been listening to our lives or know a little bit about positive discipline and the Montessori philosophy, you'll see that there is a lot of overlap with this self-determination theory. So basically, humans are more likely to feel motivated and thrive when these three needs are met. So how does this relate to parenting? So what are some practical ways that we can actually get these needs met in our child and encourage intrinsic motivation? How can we
Right.
support? Yeah.
Okay, so when it comes to our children, we obviously want to encourage autonomy. So it's all about allowing children to take the initiative and make decisions, right? So maybe for a younger child, this could mean maybe asking them what they need to wear so they don't feel cold outside, rather than just telling them, put on your coat. Or maybe for a slightly older child, this could be, hey, what's your plan for doing your homework? Or what do you want to do next? So you're still setting the limit, right? That a coat needs to be warm or that homework needs to be done, but you are still giving them the agency by asking a curiosity question rather than just giving them a command. Okay. Now, when it comes to competence, one of the things that we talk about competence is about practicing skills, right? So obviously, we always say that competence builds confidence, and this couldn't be more true, right, Amanda? And I think we love this one, don't we? So it's always about, yeah.
I was going to say, it's just a great reminder, actually, that I think we often think that kind of praise is the way to go about this, but actually it's it's feeling competent in those sort of everyday life skills. And it's not about kind of, skills like, becoming a tennis pro or becoming a kind of incredible violinist. It's just those everyday skills that can really give children a psychological sense of their own competence, which is so valuable here.
Speaking of which, it's I remember when I was 10 and I would walk back from school to my home, and then my mom, she's a piano instructor, so she was giving her piano lessons, and me at the age of 10, I would already make my popcorn, and I would always make an extra batch to share with her and her pupils. And I remember that was just so cool for me. I was like, hey, I'm 10, but I can already do this. And, I would just go on with my day, do my homework, watch my favorite TV show, just to take a break. But it's hey, I just felt so competent by being able to do this in the kitchen completely by myself,
But
So
how amazing, Lucy, that this is when you were 10 years old and you
I was
still
10,
a few years later,
and it's
remember,
fun, isn't it?
remember that feeling, and I think, everyone can probably reflect on a certain teacher or, someone that just kind of, taught you a skill where you really felt that you kind of had mastered something. And it's such a good feeling.
It's really cool. It's really cool, honestly. And again, because as you said, it's it doesn't need to be anything too big, too complicated. This is how you start. You start by practicing skills, break it down, make it simple, and then you just build it up from there. Now, the third one would be relatedness. So it's all about building connection. So in this case, especially with our children, is making sure that the child feels seen, that they feel noticed. So it's about telling them, look, I see what you're doing, and I notice that you're feeling this way or that way, and always showing them that you love them no matter what. And I think this is so important because especially when that child is going through a rough time, or maybe they're having a temper tantrum, that is the moment when they need to feel the love above anything else. Right? So
absolutely.
always
I was going to say, Lucy, that I love it's not something I came up with, but I saw another parenting coach had actually written that, our children in those moments aren't giving us a hard time, they're having a hard time. And that's why we always say connect before correct in positive discipline.
Yeah. It's if someone falls ill, are you going to blame them for falling ill? Are you going to be cross with them? No, you're going to offer them all the support, all the love, all the care that you possibly can, right? So it's the same thing. Now, the thing is, but we also need to support these needs in ourselves, right? Because let's face it, intrinsic motivation, extrinsic motivation, it doesn't occur only during your childhood. It happens throughout your whole life, right? So now the question is, are these needs being met for you as well? So let's see. Now in the workplace, because I think, like most of us, or, like, yeah, I would say that most of us, we work. And then so we can either be, like employees of a company, or maybe we are solopreneurs or entrepreneurs. So in the workplace, the question is, are you being allowed to take the initiative and make decisions? So how is your autonomy need being met? So this is so interesting because I think that this is one of the biggest questions, because so many people, when they are in the workplace, they just feel that their hands are tied, that they're limited, that they can't do a lot more than they feel capable of doing, right?
Absolutely.
So, and then sometimes they just need to kind of like think small, because maybe they're not, like their ranking in that company is not really high. They're not like in the best position. So they think that they are not allowed to be more autonomous, to, like to share more ideas, because, like this is like, maybe this is what they were hired to do. But then if you think about it, it's like the more autonomy you have, the more initiative you're going to have. And hey, like proactivity, everybody loves dropping these words in their CVs, don't they? Or on LinkedIn.
Exactly. And I think
Yeah.
it's also something that, as an employee, you can reflect on how these needs are being met, but also as a sort of either a leader of a company, or, or a leader of a classroom, or any workplace, how are these needs actually, how can you allow these needs to be met in your employees? Because they're going to be so much more motivated if you can actually kind of find ways to give them more autonomy, give them more connection, and give them more of a sense of mastery, and give them sort of the skill building element as well.
And it shows you trust them, right? The more autonomy you get, it shows that you trust them.
Exactly.
So now about competence. So it's all about mastering your skills. So are you actually being given the chance to master your skills, or maybe you just feel stuck doing the same task day in, day out, and you're not going anywhere, you're just doing that same task? How are you feeling about this, about your competence needs? And the last one is relatedness. So are you building connections? Do you feel a sense of belonging? And it's so interesting because obviously, like, for the past 2 years, I've been like a solopreneur, and now I'm working with AIM. But then before working with AIM, I felt like quite lonely. And I think you felt the same, right, Amanda? Do you want to share a little bit about
Absolutely.
the need for connection?
I used to actually go to a cafe to get this sense of connection, because I was working at home by myself, and I'm definitely more of a team player, and I think it's kind of knowing yourself as well, isn't it? And I used to go to, but what happened was, after kind of going there for about 5 years in kind of hot desking, I got to know everyone so well that actually it became quite a distraction. But anyway, then obviously I met Lucy, which and actually we've just discovered that actually having this kind of co-working relationship is just really, really kind of given us that sort of connection piece. And working for AIM, we have the autonomy, and we're always building we're always kind of going into our stretch zone, and kind of learning new skills. So I think we can safely say at the moment all of our needs are being met, so we do feel intrinsically motivated. Tick tick tick.
That's it. It is crazy, isn't it? And then even if by any chance, because like we know lots of other like business owners and other people who are solopreneurs, it's so important as well, like for these people who they know they won't have like another Lucy or Amanda with them. They're going to be working by themselves. So it's all about, like, how are you building connections, maybe going like to networking meetings, because I love those meetings. So yeah, it's all about meeting all of these 3 needs. Now, We have an audience question today, Amanda.
We
Would you like to
do,
read
and
it?
I'm loving this, Lucy, because we are almost on time today. I mean,
We're
we're going to
doing
be a
so
little over
well.
20 minutes. This is quite incredible. This is quite incredible. So, okay, so the audience question, I'm actually going to read it so I get all the information right. So this parent has a 3.5-year-old child who wants to be independent. So this parent allows them the space to get dressed by themselves. And when they can't do it, they get frustrated and have a meltdown. So in this state, they won't accept, this is still the parent writing in this state, they won't accept help or modeling. They get frustrated a lot. And when they get frustrated, they reject comfort, help, and direction. And she's basically asking us for some tips. So
Okay.
Lucy, have you got some top tips for this parent? And thank you so much for writing in. And obviously we're not going to give any information out, any names. So I encourage anybody else that has a question, we will always endeavor to answer it during our lives. So yeah, go for it, Lucy.
All right, cool. So, well, we obviously, like, it's very limited information that we get, so we are trying to be in that situation to understand what is happening. So most likely that child is in a flipped lid state. Okay, so the child is having a meltdown, and obviously, like, this is definitely not the ideal time to teach them anything. Okay, bear that in mind. Okay, so these ideas will hopefully offer suggestions as to how we can avoid this and how to navigate this moment in case it happens again, right? Because what if the child feels frustrated again, even after, like, we have given them, like, some tips? So basically, we need to go back to those three needs, and we need to bring them into the situation. So the autonomy, which is, hey, I need to feel in control of our actions and decisions. So maybe what the parent is doing is, like, maybe they're allowing the child way more autonomy than that child is capable to cope with. Maybe the child is way too young or immature to deal with all the autonomy that the parent is giving them. So our suggestion would be to give them limited choices. Okay, so let's say the child is dressing up, which this is the case. Instead of just telling them, what would you like to wear? And that is like unlimited possibilities, isn't it? We can just give them two choices that you as the adult are happy with. Have them choose, would you like to wear the green jacket or the blue jacket? So that's one of the things that they can do. Now, in terms of their competence, that means the child needs to feel capable and effective. So if a child is saying no, they may believe that, like, what they were told to do is just way beyond their ability. So why don't we just break it down into easy steps, and then we practice that skill, that one that is frustrating them, at a neutral moment. So let's say they're trying to get dressed. We're not going to practice that skill at the time that they actually need to get dressed. Okay, we are going to practice that maybe during the day, maybe during playtime, maybe before bedtime, in a time that is unrushed, in a time that everyone is calm, that everyone is just ready to take on new learnings. Okay, and then maybe sometimes all you need to do is simplify. So perhaps you're just giving your 3.5-year-old a button-up shirt, and it's tricky for them. They still may not have, like, the dexterity to do the buttons. So why not maybe like a little bit of a long sleeve t-shirt, one that looks a bit smart? Okay, and always remember to do it with them and demonstrate it without words. This is so Montessori, isn't it? We love it.
We love this. It's a little acronym called SHOW, which is basically,
yes.
And this is from, I like to give credit where credit's due. This is from Jean-Marie Pinel. And she's a wonderful Montessori and positive discipline educator. And she talks about SHOW, which is show hands, omit words, when you're demonstrating like a life skill or a task. Because children are kind of under 6 are in a sensitive period for language. So they're going to look more at your mouth than they are actually what you're showing them. So that's just a little tip.
That's it. And last but not least, we have relatedness. So remember, it's the need to feel connected with others. Now, the thing is, maybe, and again, like, we don't know, maybe that child is not getting enough attention during the day or in other moments. And that child feels that when they feel frustrated and when they go through the situation, either one parent or both parents or whoever's in that room stops everything that they're doing to go and be with that child. Right? So maybe if this is a pattern, it could be a misguided way of getting the parents' connection. Right? So just make sure that you're spending enough quality time with that child, like at other moments as well, and that they feel seen and that they feel noticed. Remember that although we want to always tell our children, hey, we love you, you're so important, but it's the actions. Our actions are the ones that are really going to tell that child whether they are loved and whether they're being noticed. Okay. So yeah, and again, like last but not least, focus on giving them positive feedback and celebrate the small wins. Right? I think
Absolutely.
I love that. Honestly, it's like celebrating the small wins. This is it for me.
Focus on what they can do, not what they can't do, and just demonstrate that faith and trust in them that you have, that you trust in their capability, because we know that children are so capable, but it's just as Lucy said about, slicing it a bit thinner sometimes and really kind of simplifying the different sequence of things that needs to happen for them to be able to dress themselves, because it's a process. Independence is a process.
Yeah. So don't think that by doing just to close this subject, don't think that by doing this once you're going to get the problem solved.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. I think that this is so important. Just be consistent, trust the process. It takes a lot of attempts. It takes some repetition for your child to master the skill. Okay. So yeah, so that's it. And then like if you have any questions, it would be lovely for us to hear from you, right?
Yeah, so no, we love getting questions from you guys. So in fact, actually, what I want to talk about just before we end today is our new and incredible parenting workshop that we did. We had a fantastic group on Saturday, and we're actually going to be doing it again on the 11th. Wednesday, the 11th of December. So if you missed it or you weren't able to join us last Saturday, we're actually going to do it again on the 11th of December. So please come along. You'll actually get to talk to us. You'll get to ask us questions. It's a really fun event. It's very interactive, and you're going to come away with at least 2 tools that you can implement immediately. And I can almost guarantee that you will see some behavior change once you've kind of got into the habit of implementing these tools within about a week. So it's definitely worth coming and spending some time with us. It's absolutely free. So we look forward to seeing you then. And again, we'll be doing another live in a couple of weeks. So thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you. Lucy, it's always so cool to have this, isn't it, Amanda? It's like we get to discuss what we're going to talk about, and then we prepare everything, and it's just like it's such a wonderful opportunity for us to also refine what we know, isn't it? And to be able to share this with everyone. So,
and we're always learning. We embrace the maxim of having the courage to be imperfect. So I hope we've not demonstrated it too well today, but
sometimes we do demonstrate it really well.
yeah, exactly. But anyway, guys, it's been so fun to chat with you, and we look forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks.
See you then.
Have a great Thanksgiving if you're in America.
Oh my God, it's true. Yes, happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Happy holidays.
Okay, bye.
Bye.